little example about tradition. So there was this lady that used to cook a meatloaf every holiday season, right? And whenever she would cook it, whenever she'd be done cooking it, she would cut off the edges like a good couple of inches off each side and then serve it. And so one day, this had been passed down from grandmother to mother to granddaughter. The granddaughter was just like, why do we cook the meatloaf this way? I don't understand. And so she thought about it for a second. She's like, wait, I don't know. I'm gonna ask grandma. So eventually she asked grandma. Grandma came back and shared with her the story behind it. So when grandma was growing up, she had a very small oven. And so she only had one pan that she would cook it in, and the pan wasn't long enough for the meatloaf that she made. So she would cut off the sides so that it could fit in the pan, which would fit in the size of the oven that she had. Now they were older, and things had progressed, and the ovens were wider, but they were still cutting off the edges. Why? Because somebody before me had done it. You know what I'm saying? So that's tradition, and sometimes it needs to be challenged because it really doesn't make sense in our context. However, you got to take enough time with God in prayer and in study whenever we're making any decisions, especially on topics like this, because it can't just be on opinion. And that's a danger that you want to avoid, because a lot of people, even those people who are judging you, are making decisions based on opinions. And then I slap some scripture on my opinion. Right? All right. That's all.
Okay. I can't take it. Sorry. We're gonna go here, here, and here, and then we have to go on to the next thing and finish up. Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Al, and I grew up around here, around Oakwood, for most of my life, so I've been told a lot about the tattoos and the earrings and how they're not supposed to be a part of me as a Christian. And not that I agree with the tradition, but I understand what goes behind the tradition. I don't agree with having tattoos or earrings because of, I'd say, of a personal, it's a personal thing.
Personal conviction.
Right.
Okay.
But my personal conviction is backed up by my parents being educational about the situation, because my parents would always tell me, like, you have to be able to think for yourself. And growing up, learning more about things, I learned that, I'm not sure if this was in scripture, but like having earrings and stuff would be like showing ownership for like slavery and stuff
Exactly.
like that.
You know how like with bulls and cows they have a stamp on them?
Right.
So it's a sign of ownership. And some people could still use that and say, well, I have a tattoo of Jesus on my shoulder, saying that Jesus owns me. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more, but go ahead.
Right. But right, you have to understand that I think that some parents should be more like my parents and be educational to understand the difference between them. Because like one time, we're traveling back here and we're far away, and my dad is drinking a soda with caffeine in it. I'm like, Dad, why are you drinking that? He's like, I'm trying to stay awake. So it's like, it's 3 a.m. Yeah, you should probably try and stay awake. So that's a good reason for you to have that. So it's not a sin for you to drink caffeine. But understand, like, with everything that you do, like whether it be like smoking or getting a tattoo, like you have to understand why it would go against what you believe as a Christian. So you have a spiritual reason, and yet you should have a practical reason to also back that up. Because like obviously with stuff like smoking, like yeah, it's bad for you, bad for your lungs and stuff, but like people in the church would just tell you not to do it, just not to do it.
Right.
So have
They
a
have to
practical.
tell you, see, that's the same thing where I was telling you all before. It's like a monkey see, monkey do type thing, where because I said so, do it. And most people are not just, when they get of age, they're not going to do it just because you said so. I need some type of reasoning. Or show me in the Bible where I can study for myself so I can have my own conviction about it instead of going off with your convictions. You have to go really quick. My guy here, in the pattern, yeah, and then back there, Alexa. Super quick. And then we're going to go to the next point and then wrap up.
Real quick. I had my earpiece since I was 2, so I'm used to wearing jewelry. But people used to tell me, like, so why do you still wear jewelry? Well, because it was like, so my dad told me to question everything. I'm like, so I asked him, why you didn't earpiece when I was too? He's like, I had one, and then he just gave me like a reason, like a simple reason, like, I just wanted your help. And I was like, okay. So then now when people ask me, why do I still wear it? It's more for, I prayed. So like, I prayed it, but I'm like, should I keep doing this? Because people keep telling me like, oh, you should take your ear in. I'm like, nah, I think I'm all right with it. Ain't nothing really, I know there's nothing wrong with it. And until like, I feel like that it's bad for me to wear it in like God's eyes, then I'll say like, oh, maybe I should take this out. But until I feel convicted, like the Lord is like telling me, oh, don't do this, then I'll do it. Mm-hmm. You can't just tell me like, oh, don't do that, and I'm just not gonna do it, because who are you? Only God can judge me.
Alright, go ahead.
I just wanted to quickly address Jay's question. He said, what about like when other people tell us to do stuff? And I think that the whole scripture that says you have accountability partners and things of that nature, I think sometimes we as Christians think that God assigned us the world, when in actuality, like, he already conquered the world, and he's not telling us to be accountable for every single individual on the planet, because it's physically impossible. However, I do believe that, as Simone said, when you're in a leadership position, he's assigned you to that certain group of people, and you are responsible for that. So even if it's just you and your small group, and God has assigned you to that specific community, those are the people that he's holding you accountable for, versus every Adventist that's ever come for you, ever. That's it.
Okay, the next point we're going to talk about is modesty in a whole. I have a bunch
I'm
of
recording
questions
it.
here.
This is
We're
a
not
free
gonna get
country. I
through
can
all.
record when I want to record, brother.
I said something
I'm
before,
recording
is
when I
that
want to record. It's a free
holiness
country.
is not legalism.
I'm a student.
Can
This is why I can
anyone
record. I want to
tell
record.
me what I mean by that? Holiness is
See this
not
right here?
legalism.
I'm a student. I can
Amen.
record when I record.
Nobody, somebody, everybody. Okay. So, yeah.
Maybe like holiness isn't confined to like physical laws,
Okay.
like moral laws.
Okay, go ahead.
People are sharing.
You said holiness is not
Recording
legalism?
when I want to record, brother.
Is it, okay, I think that means
We're
like,
friends, right?
in order to be holy, you're not bound by the law. I think like the law is supposed to, especially the law of God, is supposed to be like a guideline in how to be in the realm of holiness. But like, you often had like the Pharisees and the Sanhedrin being very strict about that.
I like where you're getting at. They followed every law there was to follow, yet they weren't righteous.
Right.
Yet they didn't have Christ. I want to just play this for you guys. Listen.
Examine the promised result of each new attitude: receiving the kingdom, being comforted, obtaining mercy, seeing God, etc. Why is this important to recognize? Because many approach the teachings of Jesus as just another form of the law. To most, he just brought a new set of rules. Grace is different from the law in that the favor comes before the obedience. Under grace, the commandments of the Lord come fully equipped with the ability to perform them to those who hear from the heart. Grace enables what it commands. Dominion
Got that? Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit more on that. Basically what he was saying is that through grace and through what Jesus did, then we are able to follow the law. And I said that a little before. Because without the Spirit, without the devices of Christ, we will fall to our own sin. No matter
Amen.
how much you try not to go on that one site,
Amen.
no matter how much you try not to call that one girl, you're going to call her. Because by your own devices, you're going to trip up. Okay, I want to pose this question to you guys. Your pastor is preaching one day. Everybody listen. Your pastor is preaching one day, right? And he's up there on the podium, and he's really antsy. And halfway in the sermon, he takes out like a joint and starts smoking it. And I was like, I'm sorry guys, I can't get through this sermon without doing this. And he's smoking while he's preaching to you. What? Okay, I just want somebody to tell me what your reaction would be and what are the thoughts that would be going through your mind. This is your pastor. He's really antsy. I'm going to say it again. Your pastor's preaching. During the beginning to the middle, he's been really antsy. He's like, it's weird. And by the middle of the sermon, he's like, I'm sorry guys, I have to do this. He lights his spliff, starts smoking it, and continues his sermon. Go ahead. Or a cigarette, doesn't matter, he's smoking. Go ahead, tell me what your reaction would be and what would be going through your mind.
Alright, I would be like shook. Because like smoking and preaching at the same time, that's a bad image. You don't want, it's a very bad image. A pastor is supposed to be showing people how they should be and what they should do, and that is not it, right? But at the same time, everyone has their own personal sin that they can't seem to let go. Like some people, they can't just stop stealing no matter how much they try. People, they're just like pathological liars. They can't stop no matter how much they try. Each person is going through something. So I mean, like, I'm not gonna judge him. He's human too, but at the same time,
he has an image he needs to uphold.
Exactly.
That being said, I love that you said that. When it comes to modesty, I'm actually going to read this from Ellen G. White. I thought I should just throw some EGW in here since we're in an Adventist setting. She says a person's character is judged by his style of dress. A refined taste, a cultivated mind will be revealed in his choice of simple and appropriate attire. Now, okay, we all can understand that we judge people by the way that they look. It might not be right, but that's just how it is. When we talk about modesty, we usually talk about modesty. What did I write down? In terms of when church folk talk about modesty, most times they're exclusively talking about women's dress. And modesty is not solely a woman's problem. Men are most times more immodest than women. You lusting after my booty in my booty shorts is more modest than you being in my booty shorts. Y'all get me? So modesty